Deep fried turkey, I could do so much better than that.
Speaking of turkey, we have all those leftovers.
Bitch, check this shit out.
So what are we making?
We're gonna make pierogies. Well, right now we're going to do caramelized onions and with mushrooms. And then for the pierogies, we're gonna do chorizo and the leftover turkeys. Stuffing. Heat up a pan to medium heat and add olive oil. Then add 5 thinly sliced onions to the pan. Then you season it with a teaspoon of salt. Alright, the reason why we add salt in the beginning of cooking the onions is because the salt will bring out all the sugars of the onion and that will help caramelize it. While the onions are caramelizing, we're going to make the dough for the pierogies. So we're going to put 2 cups of flour onto the surface and make a well and add 2 eggs to it. And then with that, you're gonna get a fork and kind of scramble them up in there. Like slowly adding the flour to the eggs to kind of bind it all together. At this point, you can add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I like to put some fresh parsley and rosemary, about a teaspoon, just to get some nice herbage flavor in there. And then with that, you're going to put about a 1/3 cup of water. Just slowly adding it. The well will probably break, but that's okay because you're going to get this board messy anyway. And then you're going to knead it for about a minute until it's all combined and the lumps are out. This is the finished product. It's going to be a little bit sticky, but that's what you want. And you're going to have to let it rest for about 10 minutes so that all of the flour absorbs the liquid and it'll be set to roll out. If the onions look and appear to be a little bit dry, you can add a little bit more olive oil to it throughout the process of cooking.
What are you stuffing the pierogies with?
I'm stuffing them with some of the leftovers from yesterday. You're gonna have to reduce the heat of the onions so that they can cook longer and slower. Alright, so while the onions are cooking, we're gonna get ready for the filling. And here is some of our leftover turkey that has been roasted. What I'm gonna do is remove the outer skin of it because we don't really need it and it's really fatty and unnecessary. But this is the thigh of the turkey and it's really good because it seems to have more fat and a lot more flavor, and I personally like to use it and eat it a lot more rather than the white meat turkey. So what we're going to do here is just kind of shred up the turkey. You don't really long strips, but you want them to be a nice bite-sized piece so that we can fit them in the pierogies because you're only going to put, you know, a little bit of the filling into each pocket of the dough. So I only need about 1/2 cup to a cup of the shredded turkey meat. Alright, first we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of medium diced chorizo, about a 1/4 cup of fresh breadcrumbs, about 1/2 cup of leftover mashed potatoes, about another 1/4 cup of heavy cream, some fresh herbs. I'm using thyme and rosemary. They're really good for the winter. About a teaspoon of ground cumin, about 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper to give that kick, and season it with salt and pepper, not too much salt because the chorizo already has salt in it, and a couple grinds of pepper. then mix it all up with your hands. Okay, we're gonna put some cremini mushrooms with the caramelized onions. I like to do them in half, but some of them are large, so you're gonna have to cut them in quarters, like this one.
Oh, large custard.
And then you just add them over here to the partly caramelized onions, and then those will cook down and absorb all those juices because mushrooms are like sponges. So the dough is ready to roll out. You're going to cut it in half and only roll out half of the mixture. And you're going to flour your surface and start patting it down. Make sure you flour your rolling pin too so it doesn't stick to it. And you want to roll out the dough as thin as possible and make sure that you keep on turning it and working from the center out. Alright, so now we're going to use the cutter to cut out the dough for the pierogies. Okay, now you're ready to fill up your pierogies. You're going to take about a small spoonful of the mixture and place it in the middle of the pierogi. So we're going to shave some drunken goat's milk cheese onto the pierogies. And what's really great about this cheese is that it has a really high fat content compared to a regular cow's milk cheese. And what's also really great about this cheese is that you can actually smell the wine, and you can almost taste it too. So you're gonna dab a little bit of water around the rim of the pierogi dough, just so that it will stick to each other. And then you're gonna fold it over and just kind of crimp it with your fingers. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to use a fork or any of those techniques. Season the mushrooms and onions and deglaze the pan with
glazed donuts
with some red wine. Right here I have a Cabernet Sauvignon, and we're going to put about a quarter of a cup. While we do that, we're going to scrape the bottom of it to get all those good bits off. And the wine will start to reduce because we're going to cook it a little bit longer. Heat up a large pot of water and heavily salt it so that it tastes almost similar to seawater, because that's the time that you're going to be able to get flavor into the pierogies. So now that the water is boiling, you're going to dip your pierogies in slowly so that they don't splash out. And you're going to cook them for about 3 minutes. They're gonna rise up and like start floating, but that's not really a good notification that they're done, because the dough still has to cook and the middle has to like heat up. So we're gonna let those cook for about 35 minutes. Okay, heat up another saute pan to about a medium-high heat and add the oil to it. And then whenever the pierogies are done cooking, we're going to add them to the pan. In a small saucepan like this, you're going to melt about a tablespoon of butter, maybe a little less. And you're going to add about, this is about half a cup of breadcrumbs. And what they're going to do is fresh. And it's just going to absorb all that butter and get nice and fried up and crispy. Okay, so as these breadcrumbs are frying up, we're going to add some some more of our chopped herbs. This is a mixture of thyme and rosemary that is left over from the turkey mixture for the pierogies. And then we're gonna add, you know, a small handful of pine nuts or pignoli nuts, whatever you call them. And you just want to lightly toast them and not make sure that they don't get burned at all. Pierogies are done cooking. We add them to the hot pan with oil, and we're just gonna lightly brown them, probably about 1 to 2 minutes per side. And you don't want to get them too crusty. You just want a nice little crunch on them. This is what the finished product of the fried breadcrumbs should look like. That color and that consistency. All right, now we're ready to plate. So we're gonna take our sauteed onions and mushrooms and put these down on the plate first. In kind of a vertical way. You're gonna take 3 pierogies and line them up on top of the mushroom and onions. And then you take your breadcrumbs and sprinkle them on top. And there you go, your turkey leftover recipe.
Yep.
Alright. Take a bite of it and just be like, that's really good.
That's really good.